Hey, sports fans, Larry Eater here at Socialing the Distance. This is our Geek Interviews, and we are talking to Brandon Miller today, Brooks Beast, 800-meter specialist and Olympian, and also world champion team member, too. Brandon, great to meet you.
Great to meet you. Thank you for having me on.
Now, you are from St. Louis. I am from St. Louis, so you get the special love as
Oh
well,
yeah.
man. So, who was your coach in high school?
So my mom coached me throughout
Cool.
my high school career, and also we had a coach, Coach Harris, as well, up at John Burroughs High School. He was the head coach of the track team. So yeah, they both played big parts in my development. And yeah,
What's your mom's name?
Angela,
Now,
Angela Miller.
how did your mom run track?
Yeah, yeah. My mom ran track and did the short hurdles at Mizzou
Oh,
when she was in
cool.
college. Yeah.
Oh, nice, nice. So, what was it like being coached by your mom? Because I coached my son a little bit in the throws, and I
Yeah.
kind of stayed back. And I've watched some guys coach their kids, and I'm kind of like, did you do kind of like the coach thing and then mom thing, or how did you guys do it?
Yeah, yeah. I would say my mom did a very good job of separating coach from mom.
Uh-huh.
Um, she started coaching me when I first started running track at a very early age. So she brought me through from when I was a peewee
Wow.
all the way in summer track, all the way through my senior year. Well, I guess technically my junior year of high school, since my senior year was COVID.
Yeah.
And
Oh
she
man.
did a really, really good job of again separating the two and also allowing me to be a kid, leaving a lot of meat on the bone for college and professional after that. So
Now you had at 11 years old the age group records for the 800 and 1500.
yeah.
What kind of running were you doing then?
Yeah, it's very funny because a lot of people look at the results um, that the Lord has blessed me to be able to have over these years, and they assume that I was doing a lot. I was only working out like 3 days a week,
Cool.
and really just again, it was a lot of protection involved. My mom was
Yeah.
really, really protecting my development as an athlete. So I was just out there having fun, hanging
Uh-huh.
out with my friends, and going out there and just trying to run as fast as I could.
Now, at 14, you held the world age group record for, was it the 800?
Yes, yes.
Now, what was that like?
It was funny because I remember my mom was at lunch with uh, one of her friends, and I just tagged along, and we was in a St. Louis bread cup, and I didn't even know I had the record, and something just came to my mind that I should just like look up, like what's the fastest anybody has ran at this age.
Wow.
I click a link and I see my name, so I run over to my mom, like, Mom, I have a world record, and we celebrated for a little bit, but it was very shocking. It was very surprising. I was so excited, and it kind of just made me hungry to just continue to develop in the sport and to continue with that upwards trajectory.
May I ask what the time was at that time?
At 14, I want to say it was 151.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
What kind of a
yeah.
quarter were you doing then?
It's funny because my mom always trained me as an 815 guy growing up.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I always ran a mile at the Festival of Miles. I always ran the 1500 at AAU Junior Olympics. And if we needed to run a 400 or 4x4, I would step down and run it, but it was never any training
Okay.
to run a specific quarter.
Sure.
So I couldn't tell you. I think I probably could have ran maybe around 48 seconds at that point, I
That
would
makes sense with
say.
the 151. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I had always kind of been just naturally fast, but my mom did a really good job of making sure we were strong. So
Now, did you guys run cross country?
we dabbled. Yeah, we did run cross country, did the AAU circuit, but it was never super serious. Like I said, my mom did a really good job of
Hmm.
keeping me as a kid. So my first time running track, as the only time I was doing track was my freshman year of college because I always played basketball. I always played another sport
Cool.
growing up.
I think that's important.
Yeah, I think so too. Just the development of an athlete and just being able to put myself in a team sport to be able to learn those skills and train different muscles and just have fun with my friends at the end of the day. So
Now, you went to Texas A&M, correct?
yes.
Now, who was your coach down there?
My coach, the head coach of the team was Coach Pat Henry, and my event coach was Milton Mallard.
Oh, you had Milton. Okay, okay, yeah, all right,
Yes.
okay, yeah, because wasn't I know Donovan Brazier had was it Alan Francisque the
Francine. Yes, sir.
yeah because I remember
Yeah.
Alan running. I interviewed him over in Europe a couple times. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So what was your training like in college?
Right. So the training in A&M when I was there, it was very sprint oriented, right? Because at A&M, when they recruited a lot of 800-meter runners, they also recruited runners that could run the four and contribute on the 4x4.
Sure.
So we also had to train the aspects of our game to be able to compete at a high level 4x4. Running the 302s, 301s, three flats,
Yeah.
and things like that. So it was a lot of like our tempos weren't tempos, true
Yeah.
tempos,
Sure.
and it was a lot of work on the track and it was a lot of racing ourselves into shape over the course of a season. So
Okay. Yeah.
Coach Henry looked at the schedule, and even if you were off, you probably run a 4x4 to get that stimulus because running a 4x4 is not something you can really duplicate. Like that effort, you can't
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
duplicate it. Oh, excuse me, in practice. So it was a lot of racing, a lot of work on the track, and yeah, just being very sharp, I would say.
Now, if you were talking to high school kids right now,
Yeah.
um, what would you tell them to stay focused on while they're running in high school?
I would say just stay focused on the process.
Okay.
I feel like that's the biggest thing. If we're going specific, I would say I think it, it's always it's a two-way street.
Mhm.
You have to, of course, know what your strengths are and know what your weaknesses are. Um, I would say definitely work on your strength, but also make sure that you're keeping up with your foot speed as well. Don't neglect that. No matter what event that you do. I think I've had the the privilege of going to A&M,
Yeah.
then spending a year with Bobby and really working on my foot speed, working on my raw speed, my speed over 400 meters, and then going to Brooks and going to the complete opposite kind of side of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And Danny has done a really, really good job, I would say, of keeping my strengths, but also working on my weaknesses as well.
Sure.
And I think for me, it's kind of all come together because, again, when I was a kid and throughout high school,
Yeah.
I used to do more of the 1,500-meter work.
Okay.
And then I kind of got away from it because I got hurt my junior year of high school. COVID was my senior year of high school. And then at A&M, I was at A&M for 2 years and Bobby for a year. So the strength aspect wasn't really as stressed as much as it should have been, probably.
Hmm.
But the speed aspect was. And when I got over to Brooks, because that 1,500 meter work was very familiar, um, and I still had probably a lot more foot speed than I would have had if I never went to an A&M or never went with Bobby. It kind
Sure.
of all came together in the perfect little bowl and mixture and all of that. So I would say to the high schooler out there, just be focused on your own journey, work on your weaknesses, but also keep your strengths, and shoot for the moon.
Cool. In college, what was the thing? What was the biggest surprise for you when you got into college training?
Yeah, I would say the biggest surprise for me when I think it was the quality of training partners that I had, right?
Okay.
Because when you're in high school, when you're in middle school, um, it's a big step in training partners. You
Yeah.
might be running by yourself in the workouts and all of that, and that was something that I really enjoyed and really wanted to um, was really looking forward to going to colleges to surround myself with a bunch of really great guys. I remember probably the first week I was on campus, Donovan came back and visited, and me, Carlton, Allen, Devin Dixon, and Donovan, we all went on a run. And I'm sitting here like, wow, this is crazy. Like that's a 143 guy right there. Well, no, he's a world champion at that point because since this
Yeah,
was like 2020, so this is a 142 guy right here. Devin was a 144 guy. Carlton was a 146 guy. We had a recruit from Japan named Alan Clay who ran 146 out of high school. So me and him was in the same class.
sure.
Um, and I was a 149 guy.
Wow.
So for me stepping into that environment, I was really excited because I know that I was going to get tested. You know what I'm saying? It's like a furnace. You know what I'm saying? When you got a sword in the furnace, you just beating out the impurities.
Yeah.
I knew that's how the environment was going to be. And practice was great. There would be times where I would be humbled so much, but I kept showing up,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I kept getting better. And coming in as a 149 guy my freshman year, and then leaving my freshman year with a 144.9 PR was something that was crazy to me. So
That's cool. Um, Talk to me about, so then you trained with Bobby Kersey then for how many years?
yes, 1 year.
1 year? Okay. What was
Yes.
that experience like?
Man, it was amazing. Bobby is great. I like to say that experience has kind of shaped me into the runner that I kind of am today. And I remember praying to God. I was like, Lord, I just want to be great. I want to be great. I want to be great. I want to be great. Right. And I think the biggest thing that I got out of LA
Hmm.
is he gave me a blueprint on how to be great because I got to see Sydney operate each and every day, right?
Wow.
And then I get to Brooks and I got to see Josh
Yeah.
Kerr operate each and every day.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think that when we're praying for things, I God didn't just zap my legs and say, "All right, you're a 141 guy, 142 guy, 143 guy." He gave me blueprints, and it was my ability to be able to look at that blueprint, study it, and apply it to my life, to which, the level I would reap the blessing and things like that.
Yeah.
So watching Sydney just work, she really taught me how to be a professional athlete.
Hmm.
Um, the guy that works with her named Malachi continued to speak life into me and really show me again, like she did, what it was to be a pro because he used to be a pro himself.
Oh, cool.
And one thing I love about Bobby is Bobby was one of the first coaches that told me, I believe that you can be a great 800-meter runner.
Oh,
Like
wow.
really great. He
That's a
he
big
always
deal.
used to call me the Black Seb Co. He said, "Boy, you the Black Seb Co."
Well,
And
your 400 PB is 46.3. Seb's is 46.22. He did it in the British Championships where he finished second in the 400. I still
wow,
give him trouble about that, you know.
wow, that's
And
amazing though.
but his thing always was when we would chat, because his dad had to move up to mileage as he got, well, he was doing about 60 a week, but I don't think he ever
Yeah.
saw a 6 minute mile. Um, the the uh, the approach was always that speed, and so I see you then do a 3:35, and I'm going, you know, Danny's.
Yeah,
It's always fascinating to watch how Danny's brain works because I had this big interview with him during COVID, and
yeah,
he was trying to figure out how he was going to work with people, and it was really interesting, how he was able to come up with things, and then watch him with Josh is
yeah.
fascinating, and I've known Josh since well, I met Josh in 2015 at a Brit
Really?
meet, and in 17 he was trying to get selected, and the selectors were jerking him around. And I met his parents, and I go up. I said, "Look, I'm not a stalker." I said, "But the selectors are a pain in the butt. You should ask Seb about how they jerk." And he just and it was dad remember that when I got to congratulate him when he won in Budapest because that
Hey
was
man, that's what's up.
but it's just
No,
cool things. Well, your speed really helps you, but you've got this lovely combination of speed and strength. So are you an 800 guy wanting to do the 1500, or are you going to stick with the 800 for a while, or where do you see you going right now?
I think eventually, I was talking to this about this to Danny. I think it was last year, right? And it was funny because my PR in the 1500 going into last year was 350, and then
Wow.
working a year with Danny, we got it down to 340.
Yeah.
Um, and I told her, I said, Danny, and right now I only run around 30 miles a week,
Oh
30,
my
35
gosh.
miles a week. And I was like, Danny, I think if we keep on working, and everything kind of falls right, and the 800 is first, uh, I think we could, try to go for the double in LA 2028. If we able to, God willing, take care of business in
Yeah.
the 800, try ourselves in the 15, and Danny. That's one thing about Danny. Danny, he welcomed it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I think that's what great coaches do. They welcome the
Yeah.
challenge. And this year he gave me a little bit more on my plate. As far as the workouts go, we've kept the overall volume of running pretty low.
Hmm.
Um, but I think it's just showed itself in the workouts. Just having that consistency from last year going into this year. It was funny because this was the first year that I took 2 weeks off after trials or after the Olympics.
Sure.
Usually I would take like 6 to 2 months, 6 weeks
Yeah.
to 2 months off, and
Okay.
I'd come back just absolutely not in shape at all. And I remember after the Olympics, Dan was like, "All right, don't run for 2 weeks and then get back to jogging." I was like, "Whoa, that's really quick,"
Yeah.
but I see why he did that because the fitness was able to kind of roll over and the fall, I was able to have a better fall because of it. And then that, the fall is the base. We was able to build into the winter, build into the spring, and now the summer is here. So
The 800 heats in an Olympic trials or US trials are brutal. Each
yes.
round gets so much more unforgiving. Um, Take us through the Olympic trials for you last year, because you flew, man. That was just something to watch.
Now it was I knew I was ready. But kind of like a saying that me and my parents have, and it's just taking one round at a time.
Yeah,
I feel like when you kind of look too far ahead, you kind of, don't focus on the now. And now, especially with the 800-meter running in this nation, you have to be ready each and every round. There's no round that you can kind of coast through, or
sure.
no round that you have to overlook. So, my first round felt good. We got through, and then that was the second round where we came through at 51. I made a move on the back stretch, and I remember looking up with 200 meters to go. I didn't see the time that we was running, but I knew I kind of just still had to press because I knew it was top two that made it through to the final.
Yeah,
So I just remember just pressing on the gas a little bit and looking back over my shoulder, coming off the home stretch and kind of seeing where I was, and I just see hops just moving, and I'm like, oh, like they're still here. I was like, everybody's still here, so I gotta, keep going. I didn't quite know how fast I was running
yeah,
until I was about 40 meters out, and I probably saw like I don't know, 138, 137 on the clock.
yeah. Makes
And I was
sense.
like, it was one of the things where everything started going in slow motion a little bit.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm just looking at the clock all the way to the finish line. Probably should have just ran through the line and not even worried about the time, but it was such a big breakthrough for me. And it didn't feel like I was running 143. I think sometimes you see these times and you're like, man, when I run that time, that's really gonna hurt.
yeah.
But it wasn't that case. It wasn't the case for me in that semi. It was so smooth. It felt so good. And for Hobbs to be right there and like me looking up at the time, I was like, wow, that was amazing.
Yeah, I've got
But
a
then I
great
kind of
shot of
had
that.
to.
It's pretty
Oh,
cool.
did you?
Oh,
Yeah, it was amazing. But then it was one of the things where it's like, okay, that was exciting, but I have to lock back in because we have finals,
yeah,
and I have to if I don't duplicate that, then you know what I'm saying, then it didn't matter. In a sense, I don't truly believe that, but it was just this feeling of I had to lock back in because the main goal was still the main goal. The main goal wasn't to run fast. The main goal was to make the team.
now, how do you do
And
that? That's my question. Like you're talking about bringing yourself back. And that's
Right.
a real, thing of a professional athlete is, you've got this PB, but you got to make the team the next day. And,
Right.
and so what do you tell yourself? Well, how do you and Danny work on that?
Right. I think it's something that you work on throughout the whole season.
Okay.
Right. So and I think it's something as a professional athlete, having a short memory is something that you really have to master.
Sure.
Whether it's something whether you're coming off a great performance or a bad performance, you have to refocus knowing that there's still a task at hand that I have to accomplish. And I remember I got hurt last year. Um, and there was a point where I couldn't run for like 6 weeks
Mhm.
last year. And I remember my first two races back, I ran like 147 high, and I was like, "Oh Lord, like what's up? Like we got trials in about 3 months, 2 months. What is going on?"
Yeah.
But in that moment, um, I had to have a short memory, knowing that the results wasn't um, the process. Sometimes you put out results that aren't indicative of your fitness,
Sure.
and I think for me in that moment, learning that okay, I have to keep that where it was so that I can move forward is the exact same thing that I apply in the Olympic trials to get ready for that final. Because I think one thing that brought me back to reality is sitting back in um, the area where you get your stuff after the race and watching the last heat of the 800 and seeing Bryce just run the smoothest 144.1 that I had ever
Yeah.
seen.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's gonna be a war. It's gonna be a war. So um that was sobering, and it was one of them things where it was like, okay, we did that. Now it's time to come back and get ready for the final battle on the in that final. So
How was that final? What do you remember from it?
it's funny because all of the big races that I've had is kind of a blur.
Okay.
Um, it was kind of a blur. One thing that I just really told myself is to run with intention. And I remember getting on Bryce's shoulder, um, and then oh, I'm sorry. So something happened. Okay.
You're good.
I remember getting out and getting on Bryce's shoulder. And then I remember Hobbs Kessler and Abe Alvarado making a move that I didn't expect to be made at 400 meters. And it's funny because as an athlete, you play the race in your head over and over and over again, 100 times before you even step on the starting line.
Yeah.
And okay, what do I think this person's going to do? What do I think that person's going to do? And what they did was not in my bingo card. I remember they went from like third and fourth, and they swung around me to get on Bryce's shoulder. And in that moment, I just remember I was like, okay, I have to stay calm and kind of work my way up, and not do it in all one big move. And then I got back on Bryce's shoulder, and I remember I probably just I got a little excited because we were running so fast, but it felt really good. Sometimes you trick yourself to thinking that you're not running as fast as you actually are.
Sure.
Um, so I tried to make a move. Bryce held me off, and then Bryce uh, just accelerated that last 120. And I just find myself just trying to maintain my form and get to the finish line. And I remember after the race, it was just such a mixture of emotions, man. It was this happiness that came from obviously achieving a dream that you set out since you were a kid. And then you take some time to reflect and you realize how much of a village it took to actually get to this point.
Yeah.
I don't think it's until you reach your goals that you realize how much other people sacrifice for you to be where you are.
Yeah.
So I remember having that time where I sat down with my family. I hugged them and embraced all of them after the race, and I was like, man, this is our victory. This is we made the team. And then seeing Danny after the race, seeing Sarah, seeing Dr. Kyle, just seeing all the team at Brooks come together, and we all celebrated, and that was a moment for not only me but for Danny, for Sarah, for my training partners, just for everybody that was
Yeah.
involved in the process because it took a lot of people to
Sure.
get me there. So
That's cool, man. That's really cool. Um, Talk to me about this year. How are things going for you this year? Are you happy with where you're at? Um, and what are you kind of doing in training now? And what do you do in the last week before a U.S. championship?
yeah. This year's been going really well. I think uh, when you look at the level of 800-meter running, it just seems like it just keeps getting better year after year. And for me, that has been really grounding for me because it just allows me to keep pushing, to try to be better, try to be better, try to be better. Um, and training has been going really well. I've been healthy. And just in this last week, it's just the fine tuning.
Good.
Um, I think we have our last workout tomorrow. It's not really hard.
Mhm.
And then we have like a small workout on Monday, but after that it's time for championship time and I'm excited and I'm just grateful to be here and just ready to get out there and compete.
Now you ran your PB for the 800 in Rabat, correct?
Yes.
What? Tell us about that race.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was actually insane. Um, it was my first Diamond League,
Yeah, cool.
and it was my first time going overseas to run in a Diamond League. So I remember I left on a Thursday and ran on a Sunday. I get there, do everything necessary, um, and I remember going there and getting my shakeout in. I was like, okay, I think tomorrow's gonna be a good day. I think tomorrow's going to be a good day. I was really confident with the training that I had going in,
Mhm.
even though it was really early. I had 143 on my mind, but more importantly, I just wanted to compete and try to win the race. We get out there, and the biggest thing I was thinking about that first 200 was positioning because there were like 13 people in the race.
Wow.
And it kind of sucked that I was in lane three because everybody kind of crashed down on me. So I didn't really get the position that I wanted to get, but I just really wanted to stay patient through that whole race. And when I crossed the line and saw that time, I was very happy. Um, but it was funny because the guy that won, uh, his name was Tashifo Masalela. He pointed finger guns at everybody in the race. Said, "Pow,
Oh,
pow, pow,
wow.
pow." I was like, you ran 142, man. You got it. You got it today. You got it.
That's awesome.
But I mean, that's just the state of the 800 right now. I mean, it's just so competitive.
Yeah.
So that just it made me hungry to go back to the drawing board, and it was one of them things where it's like, okay, it's a PB, but like we said, last year at trials. All right, we celebrate that for the rest of the night. All right, now when we get back on that plane, it's business. Now we go back to the drawing board, seeing where we need to be better and so we can go out there next time and make sure we don't get no finger guns pointed at us. So,
Talk to me about that 1500 PB. What did that feel like?
so that was amazing. That was great. I knew I was in some pretty good shape going in. It was funny because that Tuesday, we ran on a Saturday, so Tuesday, Danny gave me a workout. It was pretty hard. He was like, "I think you'd be fine." I was like, "Yeah, I believe so too." Danny's just so calculated with everything that
Yeah.
he does. Um, so I had known by the training that I was in PB shape, and I would say my goal was around 335, 336. We get out there, we start running. And the pacer brings us through at like one. He goes through at 155, so I was probably like 156. And then the pacer, the guy that was leading, kind of started to slack off the pace a little bit. So I was like, I came here to run fast. I wanted to get some work out of this, so I just took the lead. And I remember our assistant coach, Coach Julian, was literally in the infield, and he said, "Be confident." So once he said that, I heard it, and I just took the rail and took the lead and tried to bring it on home. And 200 to go, I was feeling good, and 100 to go, I was feeling good, and 50 to go, I was feeling good, and I'm leaned across the line and saw the 335 too, and I was like, wow, that was great. That was really really great. Two more laps than I was used to, but it paid off. It was good. So,
Yeah, so tell our readers what it's like as an 800 specialist, and you don't run a lot of 1500s. I
yeah.
suspect, as you said, a year ago, what, 2 years ago, your PB was 350, then last year was 340. Now you got a 335. What does it feel to get past the comfort place of 800 meters?
It's long.
Yeah,
So I ran a mile. I
yeah,
ran a full mile in St. Louis um, before I went to camp, probably late May,
okay,
about 10 days after Rabat.
yeah.
And running a mile feels so much different than running an 800.
Hmm.
You just really have to really get comfortable with being uncomfortable because you're just running so close
Yeah.
to the VO2 max and and the threshold pace and all of that and all of that. And but really it's just an uncomfortable pace for a long period of time, especially coming from an 800-meter background when you're only running for less than 2 minutes.
What did you run the
Um,
mile in St. Louis?
so I ran 3:57, but the race was won in 3:56.
Okay. Oh,
So
wow.
I knew so Craig Angles won in 3:56, but I knew I left a lot of meat on the bone in that one.
Yeah.
So in when I got to uh, LA, my whole goal was to just go out there, run, and run pretty aggressively, and just see what I had to give. And I didn't really care if I, made that big move and ended up dying out, but we didn't do that. Thank God we made it to the finish line. So
How do you like the sound running events? You've competed in a few of them, haven't you?
yeah, I think they're great. I think Jesse does a really, really good
Yeah,
job
he
with them.
he's really he has really put some attention on taking care of the athletes, I think. And those fields
Yes.
are just mind-boggling to watch.
Yes, yes. I mean, you get, especially now, this year, there wasn't a lot of big meets in the USA,
Yeah,
with like the cancellation of like the Grand Slams and then also the USATF events and stuff like that. So for Jesse to have those competitive meets, at the right timing, a lot of people's last chance before, domestic championships was really good. So
now next year or next week, you're competing in the 800, correct? You're not doing the 800,
yes,
1500, okay?
yep, just that.
I just didn't want to get a surprise. Be ready to do my notes. Brandon, thank you so much for taking your time today. I really appreciate it. Um, I want to finish with two quick questions. Is there
Of course.
any music that you listen to that you really like that inspires you?
I'm a big praise and worship guy.
Cool.
I'm a big
Cool.
praise and worship guy. Before races, in the car, I listen to a lot of motivational speeches as well.
Nice.
Um, so those are my big things that I'll be listening to and kind of just feeding myself with. So
Cool. What do you love about track and field?
the competition. I love the competition, and I also love how um, it's a battle against yourself
Yeah,
out there, in every single aspect. I mean, it's such a true sport, to in the sense that what you put into it is truly kind of what you get out of it. You
sure.
can't really shortcut your way to victory and all of that stuff. So I think I love it because of the competition. It's man on man, woman on woman, will against will,
Cool.
and I love the feeling of just progression, when you look at yourself and you say, "I was fast. I'm faster now than I ever have been." So,
That's awesome, man. Brandon, thank you so much for your time today. It was
thank you
really,
for having me.
really a joy talking to you. I've watched you. I think I saw you. I'll see you with Danny at meets, and I
Yeah,
try not to bother athletes before the races and stuff. I'll check in with Danny and I just kind of keep it at that. But good luck next week. I'll be thinking about you and I'll hunt you up after your race. Okay.
perfect. Sounds good. I really
Thanks.
appreciate the time.
So we're with Brandon Miller. He's a Brooks Beast. He's an Olympian, a world champion team member, and he's got some serious leg speed and just ran a 335 and a PB 143. Was it? I got here 143.52 in Rabat, and he is primed and ready for the U.S. championships next week. Brandon, thanks a lot, man.
Thank you.